The ancient town of Ipetumodu is situated in Ife North local government area of Osun State, southwestern part of Nigeria. Renowned for its centuries-old tradition of pottery making, this is one of the towns where the Yoruba culture thrives. The city is under the leadership of traditional ruler with the title of Apetumodu, which means one who killed an antelope for sacrificial purposes for Odu. Up until 2017, 26 traditional rulers have steered the affairs of Ipetumodu Kingdom, but in 2019, a new sheriff was in town. Oba Oloyede Latimogun I ascended the throne, becoming the 27th Apetu of Ipetumodu. However, in March 2024, Ipetumodu made headlines for the wrong reasons. Its monarch was said to have been missing in the palace, and this tarried for a long time. Oba Oloyede, a United States of America-based accountant and information system expert, had allegedly been regularly shuttling between Nigeria and is based in the U.S. since his installation. The monarch was expected to wear an ancient crown and offer blessings for the town and the subject during the AD festival, which took place in October 2024, but it was nowhere to be found in that festival and others like Odun Egungun.
While he was an absent Oba. He was living most of the time in America. Anytime he came down, our tradition is a very, very precious one to us. Each time the Google festival was being held in Ipetumodu, he would ask his wife to go and sit on his own seat so that our Googles can dance before him. That is abomination, the height of it.
His absence from the palace fueled a number of speculations from members of the community who feared the king might have been facing fraud trials in the United States. The affairs were right. In 2024, the United States Federal Bureau of Investigation (FBI) indicted the 62-year-old monarch Oba Oloyede and one Pastor Edward Olusomi for their alleged roles in a scheme to fraudulently obtain $4.2 million in COVID-19 relief funds. The two suspects were charged with 13 counts of conspiracy to commit wire fraud and money laundering. How did this revered monarch end up being jailed? From being a tax expert, Oba Oloyede, the Apetumodu of Ipetumodu, now finds himself in the middle of $4.2 million COVID-19 fraud scandal. From palace to prison. This is a story of public trust betrayal. According to a press release by the U.S. Attorney's Office of the Northern District of Ohio in April 5, 2024, the said suspect floated a series of phony business to allegedly receive $4.2 million in funds designated to help small businesses and employees survive the coronavirus pandemic. The statement revealed that both defendants devised a means to defraud financial institutions by obtaining COVID-19 relief funds from SBA's Economic Injury Disaster Loan (EIDL) program and the Paycheck Protection Program under false pretenses. To alleviate the economic devastation caused by the COVID-19 pandemic in 2020, the U.S. government allowed small business owners to request financial aid like the EIDL, which must be used for certain expenses that include paying fixed debt, payroll, and other permissible bills. Loan applicants were required to submit their quarterly federal and annual tax returns, wage and tax statement, and other supporting documents to show that their businesses might collapse without external aid in light of the global health crisis. The FBI later found that Oba Oloyede not only falsified the supporting documents he submitted to apply for the loans, but also diverted the money for his own personal use, violating federal laws. FBI records show that in June 2020 alone, Oba Oloyede received over $100,000 loan from 4 of his 6 companies, including Available Tax Services, Available Tutors, Available Financial, and Available Transportation. On October 7, 2021, the Apetu of Ipetumodu was awarded a $500,000 loan for his company, JO&A. 2 days later, he got another $500,000 loan for Available Transportation. Further investigation revealed that the monarch, with a background in accounting, also assisted co-conspirators in executing similar fraud schemes, charging them a percentage of the loan amount upon disbursement. Fast forward to August 2025, the Apetu of Ipetumodu, who is at the center of this fraud row, applied for a fresh plea for leniency at the U.S. court, admitting guilt in the $4.2 million COVID-19 relief fraud scandal. In sentencing memorandum filed on August 19, 2025, before Judge Christopher Boyko of the Northern District of Ohio, The monarch, through his lawyers, was said to have acknowledged his guilt but argued that the coronavirus pandemic was a major factor that pushed him into committing the crime. In his counsel's words, COVID-19 affected all of us differently. Conduct that we would never expect from ourselves or others sometimes manifested itself as we encountered a completely different society. COVID-19 is not an excuse, but it is a factor, particularly when, as did Joseph, one had to worry that pre-existing health problems could now become fatal if the virus was contracted. End of quote. Court filings showed that the monarch, who emigrated to the US in the late 1990s and later earned a doctorate, had for decades maintained a clean record, working as an adjunct professor and banker before returning home to be installed as the Apetu of Ipetumodu in 2019. Following his arrest, the U.S. government seized his Medina County property in Ohio and more than $96,000 from one of his company's bank accounts. He was later granted bail after surrendering both his U.S. and Nigerian passports, but that bail was short-lived as a result of the final court judgment. On the 26th of August 2025, the picture became clearer to the people of Ipetumodu as their revered monarch, Oba Oloyede, was handed a 56-month jail term by a U.S. court for his role in what prosecutors called a sophisticated fraud scheme targeting pandemic assistance funds. His partner in the scheme, Pastor Oluwasomi, had earlier received a lighter sentence in July as he was handed 27 months in prison. The conviction of Oba Oloyede did not bring vindication, but a layer of complexity, shame, and disappointment to the people of Ipetumodu.
Ó jẹ́ nǹkan ìbànújẹ́ fún wa ní ìlú Ipetumodu torí pé bàbá mi ńgbà tí wọ́n wà láyé ọmọ arójòjò ìyádélé tejiteji wọ́n ní òrìṣà tí ìbá ti sí òrìṣà bàbá èèyàn téèyàn bá ti ń pabì fún ìhun ni máa ń hùn.
For generations, the selection of an Apetumodu was a sacred process. The two ruling houses, Aribile and Fagbemokun, would take their turn while the kingmakers consult the Ifa oracle to divinely choose from the eligible princes, a selection believed to be the will of the gods, ensuring peace and prosperity. But some of these princes believed the emergence of Oba Oloyede was shrouded in secrecy, claiming due process was not followed.
Gbénga Olóyèdé nígbà tí wọ́n gbé wá gẹ́gẹ́ bí Apetumodu kì í ṣe ìlànà tí wọ́n fi máa ń jẹ ọba ní ìlú Ipetumodu because gbogbo tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ yìí ó jẹ́ ìyàlẹ́nu fún wa. Tí ọba bá kúrò ní ibì kan tó bá kúrò ní Fágbè á bọ́ sí Aribile, tí ọba bá kúrò ní Aribile á bọ́ sí Fágbè. Ọba tá a jẹ́ ọmọ ọba àgbọ̀n kankan a kàn dédé gbọ́ pé wọ́n mọ̀ ti gbé ọba kalẹ̀ o. Gbogbo ìgbésẹ̀ tá a gbé wọ́n ṣáà yí ìgbésẹ̀ yẹn wọ́n débi pé wọ́n fi kú wọ́n fi ìbọn wọ́n fi gbogbo rẹ̀ wọ́n fi ń wọ́ wá kiri, ṣùgbọ́n a dúpẹ́ lọ́dọ̀ Ọlọ́run pé Ọlọ́run ò jẹ́ kí ẹ̀mí wa ó bá ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ náà lọ. So ìrìn àjò tán rìn yẹn ló jẹ́ kí ọ̀rọ̀ wọn.
The allegations are severe. They speak of a financial influence, political pressure, and a fundamental breach of custom. They claim the head of the kingmakers was determined to install his preferred candidate, Gbénga Oloyede.
While the names of those who are qualified to become Apetumodu were submitted to Aribile ruling house, we raised various objections, very serious objections to his candidacy. We wrote to government, particularly we wrote a letter through the chairman of the local government that said he is from the female side and no female side ever becomes an Oba in Ipetumodu. They just use money and political power to steal away, take away our Obaship.
During the selection process, the Aribile ruling house contested Oba Oloyede's legitimacy, claiming he was not a true son of the ruling house through the male line, a prerequisite for the throne.
Only a respectable person, very intelligent man, he said we should go back to all of us, go and settle your matter at home and consult the oracle before we come back to him. They didn't listen to him. So when our case was struck out the second time, Oni was not happy. So he sent somebody to court to find out the position of our case. That lawyer told him that they have struck out our case. Oni was pressurized. That was why he signed their letter.
Ọjọ́ tó bá fẹ́ mú ọba wọ́n á lọ ṣe wọ́n á gbé Ifá jẹlẹ̀ ẹni tí Ifá bá ti mú òun náà ni gbogbo wa máa gbárùkù tì a sì máa fọwọ́ tì lẹ́yìn. Ṣùgbọ́n àwọn eléyìí àwọn ọ̀dọ́ ìlú Ipetumodu àwọn tó pera wọn ní ìlú Ìpètùmọdù àwọn náà gbé kalẹ̀ kì í ṣe àwọn ọmọ ọba àdẹ̀sọ́rọ̀ ọmọ ọba fún un.
Despite these fierce objections and court cases, the selection proceeded. With the approval of the local government, the Ooni of Ife as the consenting authority, and finally the state government, Joseph Benga Oloyede was crowned as the Apetumodu. In the middle of the opposition, the kingmakers insist due process was followed in the selection of Oba Oloyede, dismissing the claims of procedural breach.
The present Apetumodu was selected, and all the papers relating to his selection, which was in accordance with the chief's law of Osun State, was sent to the local council, or if not local government. If the procedure were not followed, the state government could not have approved his appointment and installation.
While the people of Ipetumodu are not yet in the know of what lies ahead regarding the traditional stool, the Osun State government, under Governor Demola Adeleke, insists on obtaining the certified true copy of the court judgment before pronouncing any verdict.
I'm using this time, this period, to beg our Excellency, Governor Jackson Ademola Adeleke, you bring light to Osun State generally through the work that you have been doing. Ipetumodu has been in darkness for the past 5 years. We want you to use your good offices to bring the same light to this town, Ipetumodu, by giving us, allow us, use your good office to help us choose the rightful heir to the throne of Apetumodu, which can only be chosen through Ifa.
But in the meantime, there are reports of the disappearance of sacred regalia belonging to the Apetu stool, barely 2 weeks after Oba Oloyede was jailed. The missing artifacts include the revered Are crown and a collection of ancient royal beads, symbols that embody centuries of Ipetumodu's royal heritage. On the surface, Ipetumodu is peaceful, but beneath, the grievances run deep. The people are caught between a desire for normalcy and a desperate need to resolve a kingship crisis that has left them in a figurative darkness for half a decade. The panacea to this controversy that has enveloped the ancient town of Ipetumodu, as proposed by the aggrieved princes, is a return to the status quo and a procedural realignment, which they believe has been firmly breached. The story of Ipetumodu is more than just a scandal. It is a profound tragedy, a clash between ancient custom and modern corruption, between due process and divine right. The path forward requires more than just a government white paper or a new selection, but a healing of wounds, reckoning with the past, and perhaps a humble return to the ancient ways that once ensured that the king was not just a ruler, but a true, divinely chosen embodiment of the people's hopes and heritage.